Welcome back to A Good Pour. I'm Kathryn Good. This is conversations about good work happening in our community. And today we have a longtime friend of mine, Gentry, here. He's the president and owner of Civil Land Company. And you're finally here.
Yeah, it's taken 3 years.
So we started this podcast, or the idea of the podcast, and I immediately was like, we need to get you on here. And so we've been talking about it a long time. The cool part, we met at Primrose in Hendersonville
Long ago.
when our children were in the 2-year-old, 3-year-old class. Yeah. And Clara had a crush on Charlie. And so every day after school, it would be Charlie. And I'm pretty sure every girl in the classroom did too. So it was, early fighting over Charlie. But then we started going to church together. Yeah. We've been on vacations together. Just family friends, very grateful for our longtime friendship. But we started businesses about the same time.
Yeah.
You came and were invested in my company with a website and logo pretty early in your journey. And so, we've been talking about doing this for a while now.
A long time. We got started and got busy and didn't get back to it. Yeah.
I know. So, Aaron Birch, I was looking for... just honestly, I try to vary men, women, guests from nonprofit, guests from corporate. And I was like, I need a man that is not a nonprofit. So I was so embarrassed because you and I have talked about this so many times of you being on here. But she was like, definitely Gentry. And she's, she was very complimentary of you and saying that you're just a servant leader. But she said... He always says it's just the right thing to do, and I hadn't even finished reading the statement, and I could hear your voice saying it. So thanks for that. Just as that's the person you are. You're going to do the right thing, and that's what good work is, right?
Well, y'all are a little too kind.
Oh no, not at all. You also make me laugh, so I just be prepared for laughter in this podcast. And if you have to hear me ugly giggle, then
it's a loud
just
laugh.
Ignore it. I know.
Cut loose when you're ready.
I know. I'm loud anyway. So, okay. So I do. You've had a long career, and then decided to go off on your own. So talk about what it's been like.
It's been life changing, and I did have a great career in engineering development, 20 years worth plus. I was ready to just go do something on my own, but the best part about it is, I didn't think as an entrepreneur that I would have more personal time. I was hoping for it, but I have. And probably the best thing that happened was I got to walk my daughter Kate to school most every day her last year of elementary school. I made it to every one of her soccer games that started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I picked my son up from school and get to have that chat with him on the way home. So managing your time where, maybe you're working later and earlier, but adding the family in, that's been the biggest change in my life, is just being present. But then getting to take what I've learned over 20 years and apply it the way I want to apply it on the projects I want to apply it to, working with people I've never gotten to work with before. It's just been really fulfilling. The nonprofit stuff, what I do in engineering and development, there's not a lot of... the nonprofits don't need that very often, but when they do, they need it. And I've been able to fill that niche a few places. So it's just been really rewarding professionally, personally, financially. It's been a really good decision for me.
I mean, I was there, and there was worry, and there was, the decisions and the, what happens. I mean, I think it's been one of those greater than I can imagine moments, right?
Certainly. And, we talked about this. I didn't really have a set business model established when I left, but I just kind of...
I still don't have a set business model. Well,
I know,
so.
and I think if you lock yourself in, you're going to get left behind. Just kind of trusted the push, and it happened. And it's been great. Mm-hmm. Absolutely great.
You're a businessman, and you're in the corporate world. What's a good definition of doing good work in that industry?
My background's engineering. You know an engineer very well, too. We like to solve problems.
Yes.
I love solving problems, and I use real estate development for the basis of most of that. But I think doing good work is solving problems for people that need it to be solved for whatever reason. I make money solving problems. I help people make money solving problems. I help nonprofits solve problems. It's just I think that's where I do good work, is just that training that I got and the experience I had working for, great companies all those years, and then applying that moving forward. So
One of the things I did admire about, or do admire about you, but especially early on, was you know what you're good at and you've stayed in your lane. I mean, that's one of the reasons you called me. I mean, you called Adam at Keystone very early for IT. You called me for marketing. I mean, you knew, and a lot of business owners, especially startups, will try to do it all, and there's just no room.
Well, my brother's an orthodontist, and I like to say, you know, you're not going to try to clean or straighten your own teeth just to save money. You hire the people that know what they're doing to do the job that they do. And then I think I'm more effective in my lane. And then I'm not distracted by marketing and bookkeeping and the things, and I'm just solving problems, finding land and doing things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we know about Grace Place and your relationship with them.
Yeah.
What other nonprofits have you worked with?
I'm on the board at YMCA. Just Kathy she's another one of those kind of like Dee you just can't say no to, and they've got some stuff they're working on that I'm able to use my project management development skills on, so that's been good. Habitat for Humanity, that was kind of a no-brainer, and Kate Ritchie there is letting me kind of come up with new ways, new ideas, or taking ideas that Habitat Global is having, and then implement them here. And we've got some really exciting stuff going on there too.
Okay.
So, and then when Aaron calls, you do what Aaron Birch says at United Way.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of these people that run these, you end up realizing that they're in this position because you can't say no to them.
That's exactly right.
And it's the right thing to do, but you're not saying no.
You just say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Got it. Love that. Talk about collaboration. I mean, if you're, an expert in engineering, especially as you're working on a property, a new plan, and I've loved seeing you kind of develop relationships with other people that are doing similar work, but you all have kind of a different angle or a different interest. What's the collaboration, especially being on your own? What's that been like?
So that was hard because I had this set team for so long, but I found you know a lot of the same guys, Eric Beatty, McLean Fowler, those guys. They come up with an idea and they run it by me and say, "Do you think this will work?" And then we work on it together. Those have been really beneficial and rewarding relationships, new ones that I never had before. Guys like the Shell Brothers, the home builder. I mean, they've come to town and their whole goal is to make people happy. And that just speaks to my heart. So working with these people, that's just another way to really, enjoy what I do.
I love to make people happy. That's...
Oh, I mean, my favorite thing in the world, and I used to get a little bit made fun of it, but when I go into a negotiation, good, bad, mean, nice, when we're done, I want both sides to be happy. I want it to be win-win, but I want the relationship to still be intact. I want everybody to feel good about the way we're doing the thing we're doing together. Mm-hmm. It makes it easier.
I mean, one thing that's really stood out for me just watching you and Lisa, because Lisa, almost immediately went back to work.
She did.
Into Nashville.
I'll tell you something. I got great advice. My cousin Troy Halliburton's a surveyor. We're not all in the business, but he just happens to be. I asked him when he started his surveying company years before me, what was the most important thing? He said, make sure your spouse is 100% behind you in the decision and all the crap that's going to happen, the sleepless nights that are going to happen, the good, the bad, everything.
Working from home.
At
the kitchen table.
Yeah. It was a dining room table for quite some time. Yeah. But that's, she not only said, yes, go do it, but then she went back to work and has found out she really had missed that, and it's a good thing for her and us both. But having that support from your spouse that's still top of my list too.
Yeah, it's been interesting because you basically switched spots.
100%. We talked about it last night. She even mentioned it's so weird that you're the one that's taking Kate to warm up for soccer, and then I come screaming in, on two wheels 2 minutes after the game starts. But I missed it for so long. I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. You thought about going off on your own, and that was 2021, right? Officially?
I left in November of 21.
just the thought process, getting a spouse on board, the prayers that went into this. Almost 4 years later, what advice would you give someone else?
I try to measure 9 times and cut once. Get into the details. Save some money so that you've got some time to grow this thing the way it needs to be grown. So you don't have to take the easy money, do the things that aren't really who you are and what you want to be about. That helped. That helped a lot, and I was in a position to do that. I just kind of let it flow because really, when I left, I didn't have jobs and things lined up. So I just kind of took phone calls, went to lunches, and it just really organically happened. And I found, people that for no real reason I'd never worked with before that just said, "Hey, if you're available, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that."
Things just kind of lined up.
It did, and that's not the way that I do things. I am very detailed, or try to be, but it was, I don't know, it was very organic. It was very flowy, which is just not an engineering term. So
Well, no, it is not. But you also were open-handed. I mean, you were willing to see what was next,
yeah.
to just take it as it comes. Has that changed for you? Do you have a vision at this point?
So when we first talked about it, it was you're going to be a land guy, you're going to be an engineer, and all this stuff. And we very quickly realized I am a value add company. I don't even know if you remember these conversations at this point, but it was not I'm a this. It is it was more vision than mission. It was I add value to things. So that's let me stay very flowy in what I do. So if it's adding value for you, if it's adding value for me, if it's adding value for a family that I'm working with or a nonprofit I'm working with, I've allowed myself to find the best use of my time. Now, I did get to the point where I had more than I could handle, and I had to start saying no to some people, which they took it better than I thought they would. But I still want to honor those relationships and do those projects. But that's the thing that's changed over time, I guess, for me, is saying no to things when I wanted to say yes to all of it, because they're all good people, good projects.
You just don't have the capacity.
That's right.
Okay.
And I hate to keep going back to this, but because I'm an engineer, I like detail. I like doing it myself. I like to be able to touch all pieces and parts of it, good or bad. I mean, that's going to limit me from growth, but I'm not looking to be, a 400-person development firm. I want to be me and what I can do.
Just going to have to implement some AI for you to maximize.
I'm coming to the class.
Well, I'm glad. Especially when you want to do it yourself, and you want to do it yourself, and that's really your best output.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you just run out of time, right?
You do, but like you said, bringing the people on to do the parts that are not your core. Like, I know my core. My core is finding and setting up the deal. For years and years, I built streets and roads, but I'm not the best at it. So I want to have a contractor or even a guy helping me who's really good at putting roads on the ground, because I want to go be setting up the next one. But it's, hiring the surveyors, and I'm a civil engineer, but I hire a civil engineer to do my civil engineering because he's better at that part than I am. And I want to stay, in that piece where I can add the most value, and that's not sizing pipes.
Yeah. So at this point, you're solving problems and adding value, right?
That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's what my company is. It's focused on real estate and land, but I've done other things as well.
Solving problems. Love it. It's interesting you say that what we're seeing, we're all very much still behind our phones, and AI in some ways is going to make that worse. In other ways, it does allow, if I'm saving 30% of time due to AI functions, tasks, being handled by AI, it gives us more time to be creative and innovative and things of that nature. But one of the things that we're starting to see, or is at least being forecasted in the future, is how much more we're going to want to be in community. And some of that, I think, is still a, fallout from the pandemic.
Yeah,
of,
sure.
Who wants to be, if I have a Zoom meeting these days, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you say that about just solving problems and bringing value, because what we're starting to see is people want deeper relationships. So going to one person for multiple things and not just like going into one spot and getting your hair cut or something, like being able to have one person. And so we're developing a deeper relationship instead of all of these things. So it'll be interesting to see how that impacts business for you, just being so open-handed and, being willing to call in a person. And I've seen it in my own business, really, of, if we don't do it, we'll hire a consultant to do it.
Yeah.
Because we want to value these relationships and trust that's been developed. And so we'll see. That's the trend. That's
And we've all got to find the thing to do to make money that the AI can't do.
Right.
That's what we're all scared of. Yeah.
Well, you will hear me say, AI will not replace your job, but someone who knows AI will. We can't replace our creativity and our strategic thinking with AI. We are put on this earth to be us. I firmly believe that. Yeah. And God wants us to add certain things to this world. But if we can take that time and, save some time instead of reading all these emails or that sort of thing. So.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, somebody to read the 100 emails a day and summarize them for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me that button to push. Yeah.
When you say doing the right thing, what else would you add?
When people need help, you help them. Even if it's not your thing. I helped a guy who needed dirt get with a guy who had dirt this morning. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoy that part.
The connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've done that for me a couple times with,
yeah.
I don't need dirt, but...
I always revert back, yeah.
Dirt.
Yeah. Red dirt, yeah.
Oh my God. How about, we'll start to wrap up, but are we running out of land?
We do not need to keep expanding out and out and out. And the city of Gallatin's done just to point at one, they've done a good job of saying, bring the density into the middle where the services and the walkability, the infrastructure is there to handle it. We also, there's been a lot of talk about losing farmland. And there are ways to develop where you maintain the farm. You add the houses, you can add the people, you can add the services, but the agricultural aspect stays. Some things as kitschy as agri-hoods, but it just takes a change in mindset of it's okay, instead of putting 100 houses on 100 acres on acre lots and spreading out over the whole 100 acres, it's okay to put 100 houses, 100 units or living units in 5 acres, super tight, or 10 acres, super tight, and then maintain the remainder for farming, trails, walkability, leave the trees, the creeks, and not just the stuff that floods and is too steep to build on. Leave really good stuff for crops and cattle and all those things. But it's there's a big fight against small and dense, feeling maybe cheap and tawdry, instead of the McMansions on the acres. And we've got to find a solution. Housing affordability is something that I've figured out over the last 3 years is very important to me, and trying to come up with solutions for ways for people to be able to work and live in our community. So many of the people that work in our community can't afford to live in our community. And there's ways to develop that I think will allow us all to live here and work here and be happy about the change and support each other.
Yeah, we're seeing, people at church, for example, who have had, kids now, 10 years older than my kids. So they're getting married and they're 2 or 3 years into their first job and they still can't buy their first job.
How are they moving back?
Yeah.
And it's not the fault. A lot of people like to blame the politicians. It's the world. It's COVID. It's everything. But my oldest is 15. How does he afford to move back here after if he wants to? Or do I lose him to a smaller community in, rural Tennessee, southern Kentucky, something like that?
Can we build, basically an assisted living community for ages 20 to 26 or something?
It's funny. I read an article about a nonprofit in Atlanta that is building I want to say 30 stories, huge building just for educators.
Oh, that's
just
amazing.
To put the teachers in. Think about doing that where you focus. It's not a it's not a less than thing. It's a service thing. You want to give back to them. But imagine a a development where it's indicated for so many people that serve the local municipality, be they police, fire, teachers, public employees. They're given an incentive to live here monetarily, service somehow, or we design that into our developments. You know, if you're doing 1,000 houses, that sounds like a crazy huge development, and it is. But what if 150, 200 of those were specifically for the people that make the community work? Mm-hmm. And there are people in Sumner County that are working on these problems a lot smarter than me, a lot better positioned to have an effect on it. And I think we're moving that direction because of that leadership. But those are the kind of problems that's what I'm interested in solving now. I mean, I can, everybody in my business and cut up land and do things with it. Finding that counterintuitive solution that everybody goes, oh, that's it. That's what kind of drives me now.
Yeah. But we have to have that time to think creatively.
We have to have the time. Yeah. I call it windshield time. Sometimes you just have to drive around and figure out what you're going to work on next. And it's not off some internet listing. You just have to drive around and go, that's overlooked. That's an opportunity. And we don't get that if we're sending 300 emails a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's the relationships, right? You've developed relationships with people.
Yes.
You have put yourself in a position to be creative, to think outside the box, to solve problems, to listen to the problems.
Hopefully be trusted to solve the problems. Yeah.
You can't solve a problem if you're not listening to the problem to begin with. And so I think you're a really good example of someone doing good work day to day. You know, we often talk about good work as being solely nonprofit or solely giving back, or that's giving back time or money, but it is just in how we develop relationships with people, solve the problems that they're having. Just giving back in a way that you were trained and equipped and built to be, and being able to do that and do it well is good work, and you do it well.
Well, thank you. I try.
I know you do. I know. It has been a joy to watch you build this business. You've done it humbly, but you're also, I see you everywhere too. So it's good.
Not as much as Good Circle Marketing, but.
Well, I'm a marketing company. Well, I hear that a lot. I think it's just the red. I do.
That's probably what it is. It's the color. That's definitely all it is. It's just the color. Thanks for what you're doing for the community.
Well,
you know what you're doing, and we all know what you're doing, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.